Unbox the podcast that helps you live your best life. I'm your host, Sahar Huneidi-Palmer. Have you ever felt like you're capable of more than what you're currently achieving? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're going to talk about the journey of self-discovery with me, Sahar, hoping to unblock your true potential. First of all, I want to thank you for the suggestions and the comments. A few of you wrote, emailed, or sent me direct messages, and I really appreciate your feedback. I just wanted to say that Unbox the podcast is about helping you, having a resource that you can listen to, you can access whenever you get stuck, whenever you need uplift, whenever you need to get back into the flow. My objective is to look at life from a different perspective, from a higher perspective, from the soul perspective, away from the mundane. Unbox Life Mentoring, or My Way, is really not about giving tips and quick solutions, because there are none. There is no quick silver bullet that can fix your life in an instant. Self-awareness is a journey, and once you understand the patterns that you establish knowingly and unknowingly, then you can unravel the maze that you find yourself in. So self-awareness is literally about becoming more conscious. How do we do that? Well, by observing yourself. So I'm really excited about sharing my personal journey with you, my personal self-discovery journey in this podcast. It has been a roller coaster ride for those who know me, but it has led me to a place of growth and fulfillment that I never really envisaged or thought was possible. Let's talk about common obstacles that may hold you back from reaching your full potential. I mean, no doubt, fear of failure is a big one, or simply not knowing where to start from. These challenges can be daunting, but trust me, they are not insurmountable. So, how can we overcome obstacles that we meet along our journey? One of the powerful tools is to become an observer of your life. When a client signs up with me, the first thing that I ask them is to start 2 journals. The first journal is a BE journal. I call it the BE journal because it is about your body and emotions. It's about writing your observations as an observer in a lab or a medical doctor would do. You write in the facts without the analysis. This is really important because it teaches you to distance yourself from your life. So you're able to look at it somewhat more objectively without engaging in deep emotions of anger, disappointments, or rage, because these emotions will trigger something else, and then before you know it, you have sunk down a deep hole and you can't see your way out anymore. So the journal allows you to empty your thoughts on paper. That in itself will affect the brain because our brains kind of slow down when we're writing. They're focusing on, usually I'd prefer longhand than typing. I find the quality of writing a journal is so different. When you type, your brain is working a lot faster. But when you write, it's kind of your me time with your own journal, and the whole atmosphere is a different quality, if you like. And it actually pushes the brain to change wavelengths. So you might find yourself inspired or writing things that you didn't know were even within you. The second journal I ask them to start is a mini journal, like a really tiny notebook, where every day they have to note down 3 serendipitous things that have happened on their behalf, if you like. Say you're going to a crowded part of the city and it's usually difficult to find a parking place, but suddenly, somebody pulls out and you park. That is a victory. So I call the journal a victory journal. So any small victories that happen on your behalf without any effort, that are serendipitous, that are in synchronicity with what you're trying to achieve, that is a victory. And you have to find 3. And the reason, again, for doing this is to make your brain aware that good things do happen to you. And when you keep that up for about a month, you will notice, I'm not really stuck. Things are happening. I'm not noticing the little things. When you start noticing the little things, you'll have the capacity, the bandwidth to notice bigger things that are happening on your behalf. Then you're really interacting energetically with, between brackets, the universe, and life becomes like an interactive game. According to what your thoughts are, according to how aware you are, you will be able to make things happen, manifest them, whatever you want to call it, and move forward in life. But when we sink deep into our thoughts and emotions and we keep going around in circles without giving our brain the chance to reflect on what we're going through, we tend to get stuck in the same hole and it only gets deeper. Another great practice is meditation, of course. Meditation can be a daunting word, a big word. It means different things to different people. To me, when I teach a meditation class, it's not about lying down on the ground on a good cushion and you may fall asleep or whatever. I don't make anyone fall asleep. You need to be aware. You are aware, but your brain will enter a different wavelength, a more relaxed, shorter wavelength, so that you can actually perceive a lot more and experience a lot more. In a nutshell, for me, meditation is about communicating, if you will, with consciousness. It's about communicating with my surroundings, with whatever ideas and concepts or issues and problems that I have. I just look at them as you would a painting. I would write the intention down before I go into a meditative state. And then I would just go into meditation and see what my mind perceives. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the answer comes later. But the whole idea is to empty the mind or make it clear so that it can be receptive to inspiration when normally your brain is so busy thinking logically that you're too focused on the problem to allow your brain to switch to a different wavelength. I talk a lot in detail about how this works and how the brain changes wavelengths in my Psychic Powers book. And it is an interesting book, not because I wrote it, but really I write concisely, straightforward in a language that anyone can understand because I'm really passionate about demystifying the enigmatic. One of my listeners wrote in saying if I could talk about the different ways of perceiving the future, the different tools, the difference between cards, coffee, mediumship, or whatever. That's not what I'm passionate about. The important thing is that you do unlock your intuition, that you do realize that we're all psychic or intuitive, we're all capable of receiving inspiration, and to use that inspiration in your everyday life. So it's not the tool, it's the holistic growth that you can achieve by realizing you're made up of different aspects and each need your attention, your observation, your awareness, and each need to be in alignment if you were to have continuous, enjoyable, easy flow. And this is what I do. I help the client to align their physical body with their emotions, with their mind, and finally, they will be in touch with who they truly are, and they will take the right action. And when you've established that for some time, you really do feel that inner connection, and I call it your guiding star. So what brings us into alignment is this holistic awareness of how we function as human beings, as consciousness in a body, and to understand that we get emotional because that's information going into the brain, and it goes into the brain by being an electromagnetic pulse or an electric wave, if you will, that goes to the brain. It registers an information, and then the brain sends these signals back to the glands, and then the glands will act accordingly, whether you're afraid, stressed, anxious, or relaxed. It's important to realize that because if an emotional, impetus keeps repeating, if you keep feeling the same thing, then you begin to build a belief around that experience. You begin to build a belief that gradually becomes part of a collective system, a belief system, if you like. And eventually what you believe will not only attract the experiences, but it will also dictate how you act and the decision that you make. So it's not really ideal to do a tool, to do what I want to say is like some people go for an experience of meditation under the moonlight. I mean, it is really great and it can work. But in my experience, it is an experience, albeit a temporary one, because the answer is not in the quick bullet. The answer in you becoming aware. Well, what brought me to that point that I am out of alignment? Why am I getting emotional? What threw me off track? And when you begin to know and connect more deeply with yourself, you will be able to guide yourself back and not get stuck harboring and reacting to these emotions, not knowing what to do about them. So we have to bring what I call the 4 dimensions of change into alignment, and meditation helps to do that. It helps to let go of the emotional baggage. It helps for you to just listen to the universe, God, whatever you believe in, instead of busying your mind thinking about a certain issue that you have. And that gap in time allows you to move to outer time, to see things from a different way, from a different timeline, from a different perspective. And somehow when you come back, when you're out of meditation, suddenly you are inspired with an idea, a thought, a solution. Regular meditation is important, but it's not important how long you meditate for. When I started, I literally used to sit in meditation for an hour and a half or so. Now, really, just 5 minutes does it for me. Not just me. I think there's certain quickening that is happening, that it is possible to perceive things in a shorter time. It's possible to heal quickly. It's possible to regress quickly. It's possible for things to go haywire quickly. There is certain quickening happening that it's really not to do with how long you meditate for, but how well you meditate for. So if you intend on creating the space to let go, to relax, to take a mini holiday from your day, then you allow your brain to rewire itself. And when the brain is in a lower wave, and I explain this in my book, you have a broader bandwidth of receiving inspiration. When you're really busy going about or working on solving a problem logically or whatever, your brain is in a different wavelength and you don't have the amplitude to think or perceive differently. So it's literally awareness is needed. So it's the awareness that will help you to become your own guru, to recognize when you're out of alignment and how to come back in. And the solution always needs to be holistic. You cannot work on one aspect of yourself and not progress or develop the other aspect. A lot of people, for example, forget creativity. And very often when I ask a client, what do you do? Who are you? I ask them, who are you? And they say, oh, I'm an investor, I'm a banker, or, whatever. And I say, I didn't ask you what you do. I said, who are you? What is the impact, the imprint? What are you passionate about? What impact do you want to leave behind? Who are you outside 9 to 5, outside the office? Are you interesting? Are you interested in other things other than your field? All of these things are at the core of our being. So for today, don't forget creativity. Start the habit of journaling. Empty out your feelings, your thoughts on paper. It's so important because it allows your brain to think more clearly. And meditation can be 5 minutes, really 5 minutes. And then meditate for 4, and then for 3, and then for 2, and then for 1 minute. Because when you do, you will teach yourself, you will train your mind to switch off and go into a meditative state or a more perceptive one almost instantly. So the first week you can meditate for 5 minutes, the second week 4, the third week 3, the last week 2 minutes, and then soon enough, you will be able to meditate in 1 minute. Taking a short break can have a huge effect, but it needs to be regular and more or less at the same time, because then it takes place, that process takes place unconsciously with less effort on your side. A final thought is that I do this podcast because I truly believe that personal development or spiritual awareness is not reserved for the elite. It is a shared journey, and I am sharing with you on all platforms in different ways. It's not a secret, but it's a gift for all. Now, you may not be able to enlist the help of a life mentor, but you can have access to improving your life for free through this podcast and my other platforms, and especially YouTube, that is really taking off in a very big way, and I'm trying to respond to that. As such, Unbox the podcast will come to you once a fortnight. Please email me, let me know where you're listening from. And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube channel, do leave me a comment. It will encourage me to know that you enjoy this, that you have found it useful, and give me suggestions of what subjects you'd like me to talk about. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and I look forward to being with you next time. This is Sahar Huneidi-Palmer, wishing you a marvelous week.